the CEO of IBTC, and with me is Nadine Kater, the Director of Education and Transformation at IRBA or IRBA. Welcome, Nadine.
Thank you, Nikki.
Is it IRBA, IRBA, both?
I say IRBA, and some people say IRBA.
Okay, I know it is IRBA, so if that's wrong, I'm just going to continue using that. So,
that's perfect.
Nadine, last time we spoke, you told me that IRBA is quite excited to have another route to registered auditor in South Africa. Why was it important for IRBA to have an additional professional accounting body providing another route to the audit specialization program?
Yeah, so thanks for the question, Nikki, and it's an important question because people just know where we've landed, they don't know where we started. But in our act, we are actually mandated to accredit professional bodies, that's the wording in the APA, and professional bodies that meet the accreditation standards, and the board has to award that accreditation based on the fact that they've met accreditation standards. And you'll understand later why I'm emphasizing that, is that each body, no matter who they are, has to meet the exact same accreditation standards for the board toward the accreditation. So you will understand that historically, the only route to becoming an RA was through the SAICA route. And SAICA's route is through the accredited BCom, or CTA, now referred to as PGTA. Then the ITC exam also changed names to ISC, APC, and the 3 years practice. So that was the only route, the only way to become registered auditor. And we understand that there are many accounting routes in South Africa and accounting professional bodies. And thus it was a prerogative for us to meet our mandate to make sure that more bodies join as accredited professional bodies, because we need more RAs, and therefore we need many different routes of how people choose to become an accountant, but also become an auditor. It didn't make sense to only have one route, because then that's quite restrictive. So we'll talk about how ACCA's route offers different opportunities than the SAICA route. Thanks, Nikki.
Excellent. Thank you very much for sketching that background. So today we are going to look at the new ACCA SA AQ qualification and how audit firms can create an ACCA audit pathway. Before we get going, I would just be keen to know who our audience is. Just in terms of, are you here because you are interested in becoming a registered auditor, or do you represent an audit firm who is interested in starting a new audit firm? Can you give me some insight into that? I will see if I can open the chat function in the meantime, but I can see what you are all saying. Oh, please tell me, unless you are driving, please tell me if you are interested for yourself or here on behalf of a company. If you cannot type in the chat, interested for myself, thank you very much. I'm here due to interest in ACCA in my personal capacity. Fantastic. Anybody here interested for myself? Interested for myself? Interested for myself? I'm incoming. I would like to reinstate my membership. Interested for myself. Okay, excellent. So tell me, are there any of you who are currently working at an audit firm? Okay. Yes, Bongile, which audit firm? Oh, can you say also, which audit firm are you with, Sibongile? And Lucia? Can you say is with AGSA, okay? Auditor General? Interim Clerk, Local Government? Auditor General, okay. We are doing some training in another capacity with the Auditor General. UHY Hellman. Oh, I don't feel like I can say. No worries. Not at an audit firm anymore. Okay, great. Provincial Treasury. Excellent. Okay, that just gives us a bit of an idea who you are, where you are working, and where you are coming from. Okay, okay, so just to get a few things out of the way, today I realize this is a bit of an alphabet soup. So there's ACCA, IBTC, IRBA, SAAQ, PER. I realize there's also ADP and PDP, and I just wanted to quickly clarify who everybody is. So I am aware that I am not in full screen mode. Let me see. Okay, that worked well. Let me just turn this to white. It's otherwise I cannot access the pen and the eraser so quickly. Okay, ACCA, most of you probably know, it's a professional accounting body, just like ICAA. If anybody doesn't know who ACCA is, you can put it in the chat right now, and I can expand on this a little bit. IBTC, who is IBTC? I'm not at an audit firm. Okay. And accounting. Okay, so ACCA is the professional body whose qualification you will be doing. Professional body. IBTC is the college whom you will be studying with. The PER is the practical experience that you need. I am going to talk about that practical experience. It is similar to ICAA's training program that for 3 or 5 years you need to get your practical experience at an audit firm for you to obtain your ICAA credentials, and in this case it would be to obtain your ACCA SAAQ, stands for audit qualification. So this is the experience component. IRBA, Nadine, it's the Independent Regulatory Board for Auditors.
That's correct. Independent Regulatory Board for Auditors.
Yes.
Our mandate comes from the Audit Profession Act.
It comes from the
So we
Act.
are not a professional body. We are regulator, and we are here by statute. In other words, we've been instructed by the Minister of Finance to do this work.
I love that. I love that. I actually wrote it down on my notes. And SAAQ is actually ACCA's, the body. Their qualification is called the South African Audit Qualification. So for some of you, you might know ACCA already, and you say, well, I'm used to doing the ACCA professional qualification. That's fantastic. You might have done ACCA's fundamentals of accounting. That's also one of the qualifications. The one that we're most familiar with is ACCA's professional qualification. Now they have a new qualification out, and that is called SAAQ, South African Audit Qualification. Okay, so that is the alphabet soup out of the way. Okay. To achieve, what do you need to do to get the ACCA audit qualification? You need to select the right subjects and obtain your work experience at an audit firm. Okay, so when you do the ACCA professional qualification, your work experience doesn't need to be at an audit firm, but when you obtain the AQ qualification, it does need to be with an audit firm. The firm must also be an approved employer with ACCA in the audit stream. That gives you the qualification called ACCA SA, okay? To then specialize in auditing, you must then complete 18 months at an audit firm and be registered onto the IRBA, the Audit Development Program. Okay. If this was really aimed or developed, your 3 years articles will count to PER. Thank you very much. How to run an ACCA audit stream at your firm. So this was really aimed at audit firms wanting to find out they have been doing a ICAA audit stream for so long. How can they do an ACCA audit stream? So if you can see it from the firm's perspective, the audit firm must be registered as an ACCA approved employer in the audit stream. We will then go and find graduates or matriculants or people who are studying or thinking of studying ACCA, and they will enter them into a training contract. And this is called the Professional Development Program. And then while you are working there at the audit firm, you will be studying ACCA with a reputable college like IBTC. At that point, when you register onto the ACCA program, it gets quite complex because you have to deal with exemptions and specific subject selection. So that's why you do it with a college. So it's the learner, the audit firm, and the college and ACCA are the parties that are now involved. Then you are working and completing your practical experience requirement, your PER, and on completion of your ACCA exams and on completion of your PER, you will then be awarded the ACCA South Africa Audit Qualification, or ACCA SA AQ. Yeah, where's that? ACCA SA AQ. At this point, now that you have this qualification, you are now a professional accountant with this qualification. The next step, okay, so this is, ACCA. I just want to be very clear about this. This is ACCA's SA AQ. Nadine can support me in this. The next step is your audit firm may then choose to register you on an audit development program, which lies with IRBA. You are then no longer with ACCA. Right? If you are an audit firm, you are probably quite familiar with this because you would have people come in with a ICA and they would go on the audit development program. And in this instance, they are now coming in with an ACCA.
Correct.
But IRBA doesn't mind. You don't mind. You make no distinction. It is just, this is what opens the door for you, right? Your qualification, trying to through a door. And when you come here, you do an audit development program.
Yes. So if I can just emphasize that point, Nikki, because it's a common question, I think, in any environment where the customer, and if the customer is this ACCA member or audit firm, they are used to a certain product. And in this case, it's ICA. So the IRBA is very keen to make clear and emphasize that both ICA and ACCA's audit routes have met the very strict requirements of the IRBA in order to make them eligible to join the audit development program. So there is no difference in the quality, in the state of readiness, and in your underlying competencies. The second point I want to touch on is the audit firms. At the moment, there are about 38 or 58 employers that have applied to ACCA for employer audit status. But what's interesting is that those firms are already registered with the IRBA as audit firms because they registered with IRBA as audit firms because they have CA audit managers that have come onto the ADP. So the process for those firms to also now offer an ACCA stream, as you've explained, Nikki, that process is quite streamlined, and ACCA has done their homework by aligning the practical requirements of the way ICA puts them forward to the firm and the way ACCA puts them forward to the firm. And they've actually done that on an electronic system called LTS. So ACCA is trying to make the process of bringing on ACCA people into the firm as easy as possible for the audit firm, for the employer.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I see that Tabiso said, where can I find an ACCA approved employer in my province? Somebody from my team might be able to find a link to where you look on the ACCA website to find the approved employers in South Africa for the audit stream. If it isn't on their website just yet, then you can also email them and just ask them for a list of ACCA approved employers in the audit stream. Then it will definitely exist and they can help you with that. Okay, So I want to take a bit of a closer look at the benefits of ACCA. I'll do this very quickly, but just so that you know, if you're not familiar with ACCA, ACCA has almost 220,000 members and 527,000 students in almost 180 countries. And if you think about how many 180 countries are, you think about how many countries have you visited in your life? Have you been? Maybe it is under 5, maybe it's under 10, maybe it's under 20, maybe you're only 1. So you can literally, with your ACCA qualification, go to 179 countries in the world and they will recognize your ACCA qualification, which is in those countries highly regarded by employers. So they truly have an international footprint and you can move around with ease with that. Then ACCA qualification has really been developed with employers in mind. It means that they interview 7,400 employers and ask them, what are the skills that you're going to need in the future? So if it takes us 3 or 4 years to train these students, what will you need in 3, 4, or 5 years? And because employers are so much consulted and so involved in setting the curriculum, you also then get their seal of approval, as it gives them a good idea of what technical ability and experience you will have. Then ACCA, the learning, it's important to know that how you learn and how you do the exam has actually been developed for working students. So a lot of people say, oh, but I am working full time. How am I going to study this? Or how am I going to attend the classes? Or it's been developed for people who are working and are in the industry. In the UK, in fact, most of the ACCA is studied through an internship at a company. Then if you, in South Africa, if you are going to take ACCA interns or have an ACCA audit stream, you will be in good company, because again, that is how most of ACCA is being done in the UK and globally. And then the practical experience, students are required to complete 3 years of practical experience as part of their professional development program, and it makes it ideal for firms to use ACCA students for their internships. Okay, so you have the same on the ICA side, don't you, Nadine? You also have the 3 years practical experience, and that's why audit firms like to employ you. And with ACCA, you have the same requirement, and that's why audit firms will want to employ you. Okay, so you can, from the company's benefit side, you can work at the company while you are studying. So isn't that great? So just a quick look at the ACCA qualification in a little bit more detail, the features of the qualification. This really shows you what skills and competencies you get from this qualification. And I think IRBA is extremely familiar with this, because this is what you looked at with a fine-tooth comb. So from a student's perspective and from an employee's perspective, a good reason to choose the ACCA qualification is that the syllabus is competency-based, and you are not just technically skilled when you complete the studies, but you also have the necessary skills to operate successfully in a business environment, which is the important for a company. I think you hit the ground running. Okay, so when you are working at an organization, there's an online competency framework. It looks a little bit like this, and it's an interactive tool where you and your supervisor, your experienced supervisor, can input your experience that you're gaining, and your supervisor can sign it off. So isn't that nice? So in essence, ACCA has developed 12 behaviors in its competency framework. This is I'm still on white. This is the competency framework. Let's do that. And you can see it includes everything from data, digital, and technology. You see, companies said, well, in 3 years' time, I'm going to need people that are really good with data. I'm going to need people who are good digital technology, of course, financial management, all the way to strategy, innovation, taxation. As you can see from this graphic, all behavior centers around what? Ethics and professionalism. there's actually an ethics and professional skills module, which is an essential part of the ACCA qualification. It just really helps you to increase your workplace effectiveness. It's just an alignment with business, if you like. And that module is quite interesting because you're faced with real workplace simulations, real dilemmas. Oh, ethically and professionally, how must I approach this? And it just shows you how to approach different scenarios. So that is one of my favorite modules. Okay, so those of you who are not familiar with ACCA, I just want to point out that this red, my Koki isn't very thick, this is really considered the professional qualification, and this portion is the entry into it. It is split, this is called foundations in accountancy, and on the professional qualification side, it's split into fundamentals and strategic professional. Okay, where to start? If you are a school leaver and you didn't matriculate with maths and English, or you didn't pass 3 subjects on a higher grade, you will begin with FIA, Foundations in Accounting. But most firms are not aiming to take these students. If you're a school leaver who had both maths and English as subjects and 3 subjects on a higher grade, you can start directly at fundamentals level. So you will start here. Okay, so you skip this whole thing. So that is really the people we are aiming at. If you are a graduate, so if you are not starting at fundamentals level, you can start on your own at FIA. So that when you want to go to an employer, you can say, my next step is ACCA fundamentals, if that makes sense. If you are a graduate who has a recognized degree, then you may receive exemptions from the fundamentals level. And your starting point could be over here, the professional level. Imagine that. You've got 2 subjects over here. These are your electives. You pick 2 here, and then you've got your ACCA qualification. You can qualify for a maximum of 9 subjects. It's these 9 subjects over here, and ACCA never gives any exemptions here at strategic professional level. Making such a mess. Okay. You should apply for exemptions when you first register as a student with ACCA. So IBTC can help you with that. If you're with an audit firm, the audit firm usually approaches IBTC so that we can help all the students with that. Okay, so most of the trainee, if you are a trainee, the audit firms will mostly take people that start at fundamentals level. Here you will do 3 subjects, and then you will get the diploma in accounting and business, and you will do 6 more subjects, and you get the advanced diploma in accounting and business. This is known as the knowledge modules, these knowledge modules, and these are known as the skills modules, because the qualification is nice, a bit of knowledge and technical skills, but a lot of knowledge and a lot of application, a lot of skills. So where am I? What did I want to say? Most important part. I am going to do it in red. Okay. One of the most important things, if you are, so I said you can go this route and you can get your ACCA qualification, right? That's fantastic. If you decide you want to get your ACCA SA audit qualification, if you want to do the audit qualification, it impacts some of your decisions at subject level. So the law subject must be the SA variant. Okay. The tax subject must be the SA variant. Okay, so I've had students who have done the ACCA qualification, they finished with the fundamentals level, but they really now want to go work at an audit firm, and they actually want to do the audit qualification. Then they come back, and if they did law global, they will now come back and write law SA. And if they've done tax UK or global, they will come back and do tax SA. If they were exempted from all of this, then then I will show you what that does at the next level. Okay, so if you are a graduate or you've now come through the ranks, you're now ready for professional level. If you are a graduate, again, who has a recognized degree, then you may receive exemptions from the fundamentals level. And your starting point could be the strategic professional level. Isn't that great? The professional level requires you to undertake 4 exams. Strategic business leader and strategic business reporting over here. Now, they are compulsory subjects, and then you need to choose 2 over here. But if you, it is prescribed what and how you must choose. They call it the rules of combination if you want to do the audit qualification. So, Nadine, how does it work again? You must do the essay. No, what I'm going to. You need to choose 2 subjects from these.
So,
you must take this one, right?
you must take the advanced audit and assurance,
Yeah,
and then you can scratch out APM.
yeah.
So IRBA doesn't need APM. Then you can choose between either advanced financial management or the advanced tax. Advanced tax is also the South African variant. For the AAA, we're currently working with the international variant.
Mm.
And then we'll have a small, short course type thing for the South African legislation of audit. But going forward, it's that part, that the small part is called the CBS, sorry, competency-based. Going forward, we will have a South African variant for AAA.
Okay, okay.
So for now, SPL and SPR is compulsory for any ACCA student or member anywhere in the world, no matter what route they take. Everybody does those 2. And then, obviously, for audit, the AAA, like I've said, when we evaluated the framework, we thought the other one they could choose is either the tax or the financial management. As you know, some people specialize in tax, and tax is a big part of audits if it's large corporations, or you may be more interested in the financial management. Can I just say something about the SPL and the SPR?
Yes.
And why it's an important basis. So it's not only if you work in a finance team, but if you think of auditing, an auditor is not auditing an audit. An auditor is auditing a set of financial statements from an organization. And that organization is a business, and each business has a unique set of circumstances that drives their processes, their profit, etc. So it's critical for the auditor to understand the business. Is it a retailer? Is it a factory? Is it a manufacturer? Is it export and import? So those subjects are essential, not only if you're going to be a financial officer or CFO, but also if you're going to be an auditor. Because in order to audit effectively, you need to understand the business, and then you can understand the risk and how the auditing standards will be applied. I just wanted to add that bit. Sorry, I'm off script again.
No, that is perfect. It is actually very true. It's quite nice to understand why I must do strategic business reporting. I love Strategic Business Leader. I read through the whole book, and because it was quite a new subject to ACCA. It wasn't always there, but they realized you need a lot of these leadership skills, and there's a lot of let's call it the MBA part of this qualification. So I think this leadership combined with the ability to understand business reports combined with AAA, isn't that just magic? That really has all the skills, gives you all the skills that you need.
That's
Great.
nice. It's holistic.
Yes. So now, if in this mess, you've now worked through ACCA fundamentals here at the bottom, and you've progressed. You've done ACCA Strategic Professional, you've done the SPL and SPR, you've done AAA and one of tax or financial management, and then you do this practical experience. Practical experience. I don't know if I have a I want to highlight. Yeah, I'm going to talk about, no, that doesn't work. Never mind. I'm going to talk about this practical experience component. Okay, so the practical experience component, once you have completed all your exams, or not once you have completed, at the same time, you will or can acquire your 3 years work experience in a relevant workplace. After you've completed your PER, you will then get your ACCA, either Chartered Certificate Accountant, or if you or your SA Audit Qualification. Nadine, you want to tell me a little bit about the PER, how it is different if I'm doing the ACCA Professional Qualification or if I'm doing the SA Audit Qualification? Does the PER...
So yeah, it's a very critical difference because as the regulator, we prescribe the number of hours you need to perform on sort of general accounting audit work, but the number of hours on statutory audits. So the term statutory in South Africa, APA Act, covers much more than your public interest companies and your listed companies. So everybody thinks only the JSE listed companies are audited by South African auditors, but they also audit public interest companies, such as insurance companies, pension funds, obviously the banks, and even trusts, schools, NPOs, some NPCs, and so some small companies that choose to have an audit so that they can show that their financials are in order. So we prescribe the number of audit hours that trainee needs to do if they are on the audit PER. On the general PER, they will do other work, and that is prescribed based on ACCA's competency framework and what they want a general accountant, if I can use that word positively. We all need generalists, general accountants. They prescribe what that practical experience requirement needs to look like. So during the accreditation process, there's a section in our model called the PDP, the Professional Development Program, and ACCA had to prove that they would be able to align their practical experience route with their audit firms to what we required for audit experience. Remember, we're setting them up to then become specialists in audit. So they need to have the basics. Thanks.
Yes. Which brings me to the caveat to that is, so it usually takes 3 years to complete the entire ACCA SA audit qualification, depending on how much time you have available to study while you are working. In terms of time, there's no time limit to completing the foundational and fundamental modules, but there is a 7-year rule when you get to the strategic professional exams. So once you've passed your first subject and your first strategic professional exam, the clock starts ticking and you have 7 years to complete all your all those exams, the 4 exams. 7 years is quite a long time. If you don't manage to pass everything in 7 years, then you're probably sitting with a bit of old information. Then you need to come back and take the whole strategic professional level again. Okay, the exams will need to be retaken in order to complete the qualification. So in terms of timing and entry routes, it sounds very strict, but SAICA also has rules that are very similar, don't they, Nadine?
So I think what's similar is all qualification routes and qualification bodies and examining bodies have rules around their degrees and time-based. But the SAICA one and the ACCA one is quite different. So SAICA's rule is that you have 5 or 6 opportunities to write the ITC after your postgrad. I think they now refer to it as the IAC. If you do not pass it in 5 attempts, you actually have to go back and do your CTA or PGTA. ACCA has got a 7-year rule for the strategic papers, but you can write those, there's an opportunity for each of those papers 4 times a year, each quarter. So in other words, if I write SPL at the end of March, and I may have lost a few marks and have short a few percentages, and I feel like I can work with IBTC in the next quarter, I may be able to rewrite that in June. So with ICA, the ITC exams are twice a year. With ACCA, the opportunity to write any of the 4 strategic papers that you choose, you have 4 times a year. So when you think of the 7 years, it's not 7 attempts. You actually have 4 times 7 times, which you
Yes.
shouldn't have to use all those.
No, please, no.
You can't write your SPL 7 years in a row. No, no, no.
No,
Oh,
no.
and then also, of course, with SAICA, the APC is only once a year. So again, as a regulator, we need to be very careful not to be promoting one above the other, but we are just showing, we just need to illustrate the difference in the routes and the difference in the number of times you can write an exam sitting and the rules related to that. So we're quite excited about the idea that you have 4 sittings a year. And then
Yes.
also,
We're not excited about you having 28 attempts.
No, we're not
But
excited.
We are excited about 4 sittings a year.
I mean, if you really want to, you could take 4 years, because you could really say, I can only focus on 1 a year. But
Yes.
it is a nice opportunity. And I know some people just fall below a pass rate to think, gosh, must I wait a whole year to make up that 5% or 2%? So I think that is a forward-looking approach. We do monitor both professional bodies in terms of those rules and in terms of those exams. What I also wanted to say was that because the strategic papers can be done, for instance, through a provider like yourself, you can actually be working and finishing those exams at the same time. Whereas with SAICA, you're finding that employers are starting to want you to be complete with your PGDA before you get onto articles. And also, if you do get articles before you finish your PGDA or your ITC, it's very difficult to study that part-time. So I'll leave it there.
So it's actually just we're just excited about having different routes and slightly different rules and slightly different opportunities for students to get to the audit development program with IRBA, right? Okay, so let me see what do I want to discuss at the moment. I think what I want to talk about is just a case study with an audit firm that started an audit stream. We'll call this audit firm ABC audit firm. It's actually happened to be one of the big 5, and they started 2 ACCA streams. So if you're thinking of studying ACCA and you're thinking of doing the audit qualification, then know that at least one of the big 5 has already started 2 audit streams with us. There might be more audit firms who are doing it with other organizations. One of them is for matriculants and another one is for graduates. And I will just tell you a little bit about the graduate program. They approached us to support a group of their employees in becoming registered auditors. First, we spent some time in discovery, as they call it. So we had numerous meetings to fully understand the client's needs. And then they said, these are our employees, and we assessed each person in quite a bit of detail to understand their exemption eligibility. We just wanted to make sure that they receive the right amount of credits based on their prior qualifications. So that was also a bit of back and forth and really digging into that. And we assisted then Once we knew where they have to get started, we then assisted with the subject selection to make sure you pick the essay variant for this one and you pick this for that one. One student, for instance, was exempted from tax, but when they want to do advanced taxation, you actually can't do advanced taxation without preparing for essay tax. Again, so it's like doing two subjects at once. Anyway, all this information we have about how you should prepare is what then we then share with the audit firm. We then helped the audit firm to get everybody registered with ACCA, and we even secured a discount on the registration and the exemption fee for the client. And then we designed a structured study plan for each individual. The three of you have got this exemptions and you must start here and this is your study plan. Oh, but you can attend the classes, but you want to do this. So for each person we worked out what is your study plan. We've synchronized that everybody is doing the same subject and start at the same time. And then we made sure we've got all the timelines and the end dates for them. And it wasn't an easy task. It felt like I know more about pivot tables and Gantt charts now than anybody really should. So as I said, we developed the study plans, factoring in their exemptions, the study duration, when they're going to do mock exams, when they are going to be on leave. We put it all into a planning tool, and it gives us enough flexibility to say, oh, now you are sick, so this moves on. So we could really plan around any unexpected event. We then set up virtual classes for them, and we assigned a tutor to their cohort. We've got the virtual classes with the lecturer and tutors who help with queries. We've got live lecturers. We've got great video lectures from the UK. The best colleges with the highest pass rates record their lectures in the UK, and then we buy it from them, and then we let you watch those videos so that you have access to world-class tuition. So access to global tuition for a global qualification, if you like. And we give them the study material and exam preparation tools. And then we start preparing them to pass their ACCA exams and complete their 20 hours of ethics and professional skills training. We do with that client weekly progress tracking and report back to the trainees and report back to the audit firm. And then we realized it was quite a big challenge for a high workload, not a lot of time to study. The trainees struggled to balance their work and study. So we developed some interventions just to help them balance their work and studies a little bit better. The result, so we had a 67% pass rate for the very first sitting we had. I think that was in, I speak under correction, June, July, and that was quite good. It was fairly good compared to ACCA's global pass rate of 53%. And the students didn't fare so well in the December 2024 exam sitting. I will tell you, we saw it coming. There are a few things that we monitor. One is class attendance. The other one is the rate at which you submit your progress test. So every week you must submit a test, and the rate at which people do and submit a mock exam. If any one of these are low, we are in the red flags are going, the red alarms are going off. Our client students had all three low, and we saw this trend coming. We tried to fix it, but when workload is so high and the three indicators, KPIs are low, you know you're going to miss out on that pass rate. But working with the client, lessons learned, do they want the students to pass? Do they want them to work? Do they want to have a balance? It's just about goal setting, and we are back on track with those students. At the end of the day, the client still has an audit stream with the students. We've all learned lessons, and we carry on. So once all their trainees' exams are done and their POE is signed off, these students will be awarded again the ACCA Audit Qualification. And then, as I explained earlier, next we give them to Nadine. We say, if the audit firm selects some who they want to go put on the audit development program, they step over to IRBA and they start the audit development program. What does that look like in brief, that audit development program? Nadine?
So I think we use three key phrases. The one is that it's an audit experience specialist program. So it's not an extension of the training contract that you had as an accountant, as an ACCA trainee. It is a separate program. You register directly with the IRBA, and your firm also registers the RA that's going to oversee your work. Secondly, it is actual work experience, on-the-job experience of working on actual audits with actual clients. And then thirdly, the way that you are assessed is via a template that we give you and the RA, where it lists almost the competencies that we're looking for while you are working on those audits. And you complete that template, which we call a portfolio of evidence. If you think of the words I'm using, it's evidence of your portfolio of audit work. It's evidence of your portfolio of audit clients. So you actually put in there how, on an engagement letter or an engagement process, how you worked with that client, how you considered the principles of independence, etc., all the things you need to do at that first stage. And you name which client you did that on. Sorry, Nikki, there's one more thing that I always forget to mention when I'm working through the presentations with you and your team. We do have an audit development inspector that works in my team. And she goes and visits these audit firms to make sure that they are providing the right experience and the right level of experience to the audit development candidates. We actually call them registered candidate auditors, just to throw something else in the already full alphabet
RCA?
RCA.
I'm joking.
So the legal firms also call them candidate attorneys. We call them candidate auditors. Yes,
like
so
that.
Very similar. So just to say that we have oversight over that program. We don't leave you in the lurch. We ask for that portfolio every 6 months. My team reviews it. And then right at the end, it is a very strict review process. 3 registered auditors anonymously look at your portfolio of evidence. Once they've approved it, so it's by number, they don't know your name. And the 3 of them don't know that they are evaluating the same portfolio of evidence. Those portfolios of evidence, also just by number, go to an audit development committee. They're a committee of 10 independent members from the profession, different parts of the profession. And lastly, they recommend it to our education committee. So it's quite a rigorous process. It's not an exam. We feel that you've had enough exams by then.
Yes.
Because we really want to test that you can do the work. So it's a real competence-based process in terms of evaluating your experience for the 18 months.
I like, what did you say? It's actual work experience on the job, actual audits with actual clients.
Real clients, real conversations, real audits.
Real conversations with real people.
Real collection of documentation. It's exactly. So it's not like with the audit training. With audit training, you tend to do a part of the audit, or you do, even in the larger firms, sometimes you get stuck with auditing only the debtors, or sometimes only A to E of the debtors book. But with the audit development specialism program, you have to go through the entire audit process right to the end. So you are actually assisting the senior partner or the partner to prepare that audit file and to say, look, we think that this could be signed off, or if not, why not? So it's a very intense program. I think it's very exciting for people that enjoy audit, that they're actually coming closer and closer to that final audit product. with the audit partner.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I think just in summary, because I like to simplify and to summarize. So, and I also like to draw really messy. So just to summarize, this would represent the 2 levels of your ACCA qualification. You are doing this with ACCA. ACCA, you want to obtain the ACCA SA audit qualification. While you are working here on the side, you are working here. You should be working with an audit firm if you want the audit qualification. So you're working and you are studying at the same time. This bottom block would be your ACCA fundamentals subject, where you've got 9 subjects and where you must make the right selection of the SA variants. Then you go to the strategic professional level, where you will have 2 subjects, SPL, SPR, and 2 what do you call it? Two electives, either advanced audit and assurance, and then advanced financial management, or advanced audit and assurance and advanced taxation, then also the SA variant. So this.
So I think what's easier for people on the call, Nikki, is that for the SAAQ, you actually have 3 compulsories.
Yes.
Because you have the SPL and the SPR.
Yeah.
And the AAA. So you only have 1 more choice.
Oh,
That's
if
you think about it like that, because the regulator,
I like it when you make it even simpler.
Make it even simpler, because then you just choose tax or financial management.
Just use that. You've got 3 compulsory and 1 option. Look at that. Okay. They're explained very well. Great. Okay, so I've got the work component. I've got my academic component, and the work component is also where my PER, practical experience, fits in. When I've done number 1 and number 2, I get the ACCA SA audit qualification. Then
you bring that to the IRBA through your audit firm, and you register as an
Your audit firm will then register you with IRBA on the audit development program, which you must do for how long?
18 months.
18 months. Real work with real clients, real audit work. And then you are a registered auditor. And what I like, what you said in this process, I am a candidate auditor. What was the word? A candidate?
Yeah, you registered candidate auditor.
Registered candidate auditor. Okay, and this is the whole story. Do you need to go over to the IRBA side to become a registered auditor? Absolutely. If you get your SAAQ qualification and you then start working somewhere else and you go somewhere else, do you lose this audit qualification? No, you don't.
You don't. But if you are out of audit for 3 years, you no longer do audits.
Okay.
Then when you come back to the IRBA.
Yeah.
So sorry. Yeah, you'll still need to do the ADP.
You'll still need to do the ADP. Yes. Fantastic.
Right. If you have registered as an RA and you leave after 3 years, you want to come back, then you go through a different assessment. It's called a proficiency assessment.
Okay.
That's only once you've done the thing. Yeah.
Yes. 3 years is actually on the other side. Here you've got the ACCA SA audit qualification, and you will forever have that qualification. But you may choose not to go into auditing. But it is a fantastic field, and I think one that this country is in dire need of. And most countries probably. And
there's a large shortage worldwide, and countries like the UK,
worldwide. And with
countries like the UK and the US are really attracting and trying to take auditors and accountants from South Africa at all levels, senior partner level, and even at
I think with ESG and sustainability and all of that, that the audit function will it will extend into the audit function, or the audit function extends into that, or those principles in terms of auditing that will be at play in future with the IFRS standards. So it is definitely an area that I think that is becoming more and more, the need will
Yes.
grow, and there's already a shortage, and it will just it will just increase.
On sustainability, the education standards in the next few months will include the components of sustainability reporting in audit and assurance. And then in AI and artificial intelligence, once you work at an audit firm, especially the medium and large firms, that is already incorporated into your work, into how you do audits. It's no longer technology and IT on the side. It will be ingrained in your work, which does make it more exciting, because you'll find that you don't need to do the mundane tasks that you think you need to do with auditing. That will be done by the robotics, by the algorithms. And then as an audit trainee or as an RCA, you then focus on the good stuff. You then focus on trying to see if this client applied the right IFRS standards, applied the right auditing standards. So that's a nice movement in the audit profession. Our framework will also change to incorporate all that in the next 2 years. And then everybody that's in the system will also comply with that. But that's an automatic transition. Nikki, I see lots of questions in your chat.
I have a question from Lucia, and Lucia, I tell you, this is the question that has that's why I wanted to draw this picture. So you are saying, but tell me about the ADP. I'm so confused. Is it part of your PER? So I drew this picture so that you can see, no, PER is your work experience on your way to getting your audit qualification. And it is on the other side of the wall. It's got nothing to do with your ADP. So this portion, to confuse you even more, but I'm hoping, is called a PDP, isn't it? PDP, Professional Development Program. But
yes.
This is your PER sits on this side.
So,
work experience.
Yeah, you know, we used to call it articles, used to call it training contracts. Then we used the term learnerships, you remember. To make it simple, it's 3 years of practical training in an audit firm. But that is your underlying training that allows you to become an ACCA member with an audit component.
It gives you this qualification,
right.
an audit qualification, and it gives you this membership. It gives you ACCA membership.
Yes,
now,
with the audit route.
With an audit route. Now, if you wanted to become a registered auditor, this one is you have an audit qualification. You have an audit qualification. Here, piece of paper. On the IRBA side, with your 18 months audit development program, you become an auditor. You are now a registered auditor. Here you have an audit qualification. So anyway, if this makes sense, PER sits on this side, part of obtaining your audit qualification. Audit development program sits on this side and is part of becoming a registered auditor.
Yes.
That's the best I can explain it.
Yes. It's confusing because people think the ADP is still training and you're still in the same firm or you're still in an audit firm. I think that's important to note is that we intentionally wanted a specialist program. The other way of explaining it is that in the medical profession, most of us go to a general practitioner. So I go to Medicross and I choose any doctor if I've got a bit of a cold or something. But if you have something else that's wrong that needs specific attention, like a knee operation, then you would go to an orthopedic surgeon. That surgeon had to study extra hours and extra time and extra exams to specialize. And that's the analogy between the general AQ and the RA, because we needed you to specialize in audits because it's such an important oversight role for the economy and for business and for the investor, to make sure that there's a specialist that is just focusing on audit, how to audit those financial statements. Are they
That is a lovely, explanation. You'll go to a doctor, and if you need a specialist, you go to a specialist. And in this case, the registered auditor is the specialist. Somebody asked, can you just explain to me those the subject choices again, the compulsory subjects? I'm going to use Nadine's methodology. Thank you, Nadine, for that. Okay, compulsory subjects. I am going to see if I can highlight them. Compulsory subjects. Oh, you see, it just doesn't work. Nonetheless, compulsory, I will not highlight, I will circle. Compulsory subject, compulsory subject, compulsory subject. Love it. 3 compulsory subjects. Who asked me? Frenzy, Manzini. 3 compulsory subjects, and you can either choose this one, Advanced Financial Management, or Advanced Taxation essay version.
That's it. One of those.
Yes. Is the 18 months audit development program applicable to all accounting bodies? I'm referring to ICA and ACCA. It's a nice question.
So the ADP is only available to the professional bodies that we have accredited, and you're correct. So far, we've only accredited ICA and ACCA. We have applications in the process from IPA and from IGA. But they way down. We're still in discussions. We're still explaining. So in the long run, we may have other professional bodies. And as I said, it is our mandate, and it's our desire to have more routes from more accounting bodies coming.
Another way to answer that, in case your question was, do only ACCA people need to do this ADP? No, everybody. It doesn't matter who comes in. Everybody does the audit development program. It's the way you get your audit experience.
It's the specialization, yeah. Great.
We've answered that.
Can I touch on something that I think some of the questions we missed at the beginning? Because some people are from not audit firms, from Netcare. So I think for ACCA and Nikki, you and your team assist with the exemptions. So I think if you've got a BCom, you can probably work with you and your team, Nikki, to see what exemptions you'll get, if I'm correct.
Yes.
So, and then from there, Nikki, they'd need to then do the strategic papers. Then I'm also thinking that you may have done some of the strategic papers, and you may need to do others if you want to now switch, or if you want to do the audit route. If I'm making sense.
Yes.
So for those, so we had a long discussion with ACCA during the accreditation, because we didn't want this process for people to only come into the ADP so many years later, and therefore those components of people entering at different levels, we in South Africa call that recognition of prior learning principles. We don't expect you to start from scratch. If you already got something that's equal to what is required to move into the audit route. ICA is different. If you haven't done a BCom through the ICA accredited BCom, it means you normally would have to start actually another process or do a bridge.
Yes.
Team. So just to note that, so that the idea is inclusivity and access to audit.
So if anybody's on here and thinking, I actually don't know what's going on, I just wanted to study ACCA, then that's also fine. So I'll just clarify this quickly.
That's also fine.
Audit qualification. Yes. You can study ACCA and just do the professional qualification. We can talk you through that. You can get an ACCA professional qualification. Fantastic. Or you can say, I already know I want to do the audit qualification. Then you're going to do the new audit qualification. Do the two look very similar? Very similar. This side, you must select certain subject, and it's got some rules around PR. This one doesn't have the subject selection restrictions, but you must still do PER, but it's thinking of ACCA has got two types of qualification. What Nadine also sometimes says is you can be traveling on this route, and then at some point you think, oh, actually, I'm now already started ACCA, but I want to do the audit qualification. Before you get to that subject selection, you can switch over and carry on with your audit qualification.
That's right. And that decision point can be at the SPL, SPR level, because only then do you start needing to think, I don't really want to do audit. I don't really want to do tax. So up to that SPL, SPR, everybody's sort of the same.
You only need to decide over here.
On the
Otherwise,
subject.
everybody comes through the ranks.
Yeah.
And here you say, am I going to go for the normal ACCA qualification, or am I going to go for the...
Yeah. Yeah. We would like you to make the decision earlier, obviously. You know,
Yeah.
but also then your practical experience, that needs to be decided when you join a firm. If that firm is not intending to be an audit firm, that's going to be hard. Like the Netcare person, you would need to go and do your practical, your PER at an audit firm. But you know, but as I said, what is interesting is that we have 1,600 registered audit firms with the IRBA.
Yeah.
So all that firm needs to decide is, hold on, there's another route. Do I want to also use my audit firm registration with IRBA to train psycha students, trainees? Should I try out the ACCA one? And that's what's happening at the moment. All the big firms are taking on small numbers in some instances, because obviously they're trying to see, is it going to work? Is it a lot more work? Is it very different? Is it easier? Is it more difficult? And then that's natural for an employer that's training, because they don't want to spend too much time on something that they're not sure of. But there are a lot of medium and small firms that have applied. So we're all excited about that, to make that pool of upcoming auditors broader for us.
I have one more question before we sign off, because we're already 10 minutes over, but I'm glad to see everybody's still hanging in. But I've got one question, and I think the question is just for you, because I don't know what the answer is. When you have signed off articles by SAICA many years ago, can you use that for your PER, or must you do it again? Must you start from scratch?
So my answer is going to be, it depends. So there is a very clearly set out recognition of prior learning process through the ACCA. Nikki, you just need to speak to Kater about that. Okay. There's an application form. There are certain time frames and also approvals, depending on who supervised, what's the state of that PER in terms of ACCA, was it at an audit firm? So it's a lot of depends, but it's not a no. It's not a no. Yeah.
Understood. Oh, okay. So that's actually a very good answer, because the answer is it depends. And it is because we have an RPL process.
Will be assessed on an individual basis, similar to what you did in your case study.
Yes.
To bring people in, ACCA will need to do the same thing. To see if it meets those requirements and how much time or how much experience they can sort of sign off before you continue.
Excellent.
So chances are, if you were at an audit firm with SAICA and it's recent, you would probably get, as I say, the term we use is the recognition of prior learning with the PER.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay. Makes total sense. Nadine, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you to everybody who has joined us this afternoon to find out more about the ACCA audit qualification. If you have an interest in it, we are just a phone call away. We are just an email away. You can email info@ibtc.co.za, or you can phone us or write us a letter. You can't fax us though. But we are just on the other side if you want to explore more. And then if you want us to present to your company, or you know, sometimes they ask you questions, think, oh, actually, I can't remember, I don't understand. Then we are always happy to jump on something similar with your organization or with you. And this is just an entry to what is available, and again, we are just a call or an email away for more information. Thank you very much for the IBTC support team and for IRBA, who are always willing to come with us on these things to explain and explore. And thank you very much.
Thank you,
Got a
everybody.
standing ovation
Thanks.
from Lucky, Nadine.
Thank you.
Excellent. If you registered for the event and we have your email address, we can make the recording available to everybody. If you didn't register for this event, then just mail us and ask us for the recording, and we will send it out to you. Excellent. Thank you very much. And
Thank
have a
you.
good evening.
Bye.
Bye.